Hello, students. I'm Diksha, your English teacher, and today we are going to start a new chapter of your Honeycomb book. The name of the chapter is A Gift of Chappals. Yes, you have heard it right. It is chappals, the slippers that we wear. So, this chapter is basically divided into two parts, the first part and second part of in your book. If you will check, you will find. Alright, before starting this chapter, let us have the introduction of the author of this chapter. So, the author of this chapter is Vasanta Surya. Vasanta Surya is the author of the chapter A Gift of Chappals. She is a journalist, translator, and poet. Vasanta Surya's stories for the young have appeared in Junior Quest, The Hindu Young World, and Chatterbox. Guru Chakka Turns Up is the first of her Mridu in Madras series. So, this is the picture of Vasanta Surya. This picture is of Vasanta Surya. She is journalist, translator, and poet. She is also famous for writing stories for the young children, and her stories appeared in Junior Quest, The Hindu Young World, and the Chatterbox. And Guru Chakka Turns Up is the first of her Mridu in Madras series. Alright, so this was the introduction of the author Vasanta Surya. Now let us have the introduction of our of the chapter. Alright. Now, as I have told you that this chapter, A Gift of Chappal, is basically divided into two parts. The first part and second part. If you will check your book, you will find. Now, the first part basically talks about a girl which you can spot in the picture, whose name is Mridu. She is Mridu, and she lives with her grandparents, with Tapi and Tata. As you can see, Mridu is a young girl growing up in Madras, now called Chennai, with Tapi and her grandmother, and Tata, her grandfather. Now you must be wondering what is Tapi and Tata, and as it is clearly shown, Tapi is the term of Tamil, of the language Tamil, which is used for grandmother, and Tata, again it's a Tamil term which is used for grandfather. Now, one afternoon, Tapi takes Mridu to her aunt Rukumani's house to meet her cousins Lali, Ravi, and Meena. So, one fine day, Mridu's grandmother, means Tapi, came to her and told her that today we are going to meet your aunt Rukumani, and there you will also meet up with your cousins. So, this was the first chapter, first part, where Mridu will meet up with her cousins, and also she will get to know about a cat. And then in the second part, we will learn that you will find later on the third cousin of Mridu, Lali. She is learning the violin from her music master, and in the second part we will also see that how the beggar appeared in the story. So, as I have told you, this is all about the basic concept of this chapter. Now, let us move forward. And before moving forward, I hope that the basic of this chapter is clear to you all. Alright, that Mridu is a girl and living with her grandparents, and now they are going to visit Rukumani and Lali, Ravi, Meena. So, Lali, Ravi, Meena, who are they? They are the cousins of Mridu. Alright, and now Mridu, along with her Tapi, she is going to visit her aunt's place. So, this all about the first part of this story. So, now let us begin with the first part. A smiling Rukumani threw open the door. Ravi and Meena rushed out and Ravi pulled Mridu into the house. Wait, let me take off my slippers, protested Mridu. She set them out neatly near a pair of large black ones. Those were grey actually with dust. You could see the clear mark of every toe on the front part of each slipper. The marks for the two big toes were long and scrawny. So students, in the very first paragraph, you will underline the two words protested. Alright, let me show you. You will underline the word protested, and the second word which you will underline is scrawny. So protested means it is written over here, complain or retort. And scrawny means thin, suggesting skinny toes. Alright. So Rukumani, when Mridu along with her Tapi visited Rukumani's place, Rukumani happily opened the door as it is shown in the picture, this picture as you can see. Alright, and welcomed Mridu and Tapi inside. Ravi and Meena rushed out and Ravi pulled Mridu into the house as he wanted to show something to Mridu and did not want to waste any time in doing so. At that time, Mridu protested that she wanted Ravi to stop pulling her so that she could take off her slippers as it is shown in the picture. This picture where I am pointing out. Alright. Ravi stopped pulling her and Mridu was able to take off her slippers. She put them neatly near a pair of other chappals which were large and black. Can you spot a pair of slipper which is large and black? Right? After looking closer, Mridu noticed that these large pair of chappals had become grey in color due to all the dust on it. This meant that the owner of the pair of chappals did not clean his chappal before wearing them. She also noticed that the chappals were so dusty that one could clearly see the marks of each toe on the front part of the chappal, which is shown here, where I am pointing out. See. The marks of the two big toes were long and scrawny, meaning that the two big toes of the owner of that pair were long and thin. Mridu did not have much time to wonder about whose slippers they were because Ravi dragged her to the backyard. Now backyard, as it is written here, backyard means the garden behind the house. Behind a thick bitter berry bush, there inside a torn football lined with sacking and filled with sand, lay a very small kitten lapping up milk from a coconut half shell. Lapping means licking. So, Mridu could not get much time to think or even ask about who the owner of the slippers was, as Ravi again began pulling her, as it is shown in this picture. Alright. He dragged her to the backyard, to the backside of the house where a garden was there, and took her behind a thick bitter berry bush. Over there lay a tiny kitten. A tiny kitten was laying. She was inside a torn football lined with sacking and filled with sand. So she was laying inside a torn football cloth. A half-shell coconut lay beside the kitten from which it was licking up the milk. all right, and also a half coconut shell was kept in front of her, and in that shell some milk was given so that the kitten could drink it, all right, or to lick it. We found him outside the gate this morning. He was mewing and mewing, poor thing, said Meena. It is a secret. Amma says Pati will leave for our Puddu Mama's house if she knows we have a cat. Now again, Pati is the another term in Tamil to denote grandmother or to call out grandmother. Alright. Now Meena explained to Mridu that she and Ravi found this little kitten outside the gate on that day's morning only. So on that day, on the morning time, Meena and Ravi together they found this little kitten outside of their gate. She said that they felt sorry for the little kitten as she kept on mewing to gain their attention. She also said that this was a secret as their mother says that their grandmother will leave the house if she knows that they have a cat. So, Meena asked Bridu to keep it as a secret. Alright? People are always telling us to be kind to animals, but when we are, they scream. Oh, don't bring that dirty creature here, said Ravi. Do you know how hard it is just to get a little milk from the kitchen? Pati saw me with a glass in my hand just now. I told her I'm very hungry, I want to drink it, but the way she looked at me, I had to drink most of it to throw her off the scent. Then she wanted the tumbler back. Pati, Pati, I will wash it myself. Why should I put you to trouble? I told her. I had to run and pour the milk into this coconut shell and then run back and wash the tumbler and put it back before she got really suspicious. Now we have to think of some other way to feed Mahindran. Now after Meena finished, Ravi started complaining about how unfair elders are. He said that people were always teaching kids to be kind to animals, and when they are, they scream and order them not to bring the animal near them and even describe the animal as a dirty creature. Creature means living being, a living thing, alright? He then explained how hard it was for him to get just a little milk from the kitchen. His grandmother saw him with a glass in his hand. Tumbler means a glass which has no handles. To mislead her, throw her off the scent. The meaning of this phrase, mislead her, to mislead someone, alright? So to mislead her, he lied and pretended that he was hungry and wanted to drink it. However, the way she looked at him confirmed that she did not believe a single word of his. Then, to make her less suspicious, he had to drink the most of it. And when she asked for the tumbler for the glass back, he said that he would wash it himself and that she should not go to such trouble just to clean a tumbler. He assured her that he would clean it himself. Then he had to run and pour the rest of the milk into that coconut shell, and then he had to run back to the kitchen before Pati could come and see him with the glass of a milk. Then he said that they had to figure out or find out some other way of giving food to Mahindran the kitty. Mahendran? This little kitty's name is Mahendran? Mridu was impressed. It was a real name, not just a cute kitty cat name. So, underline the word impressed, which means felt or showed admiration. Alright? Now, Mridu could not believe that the cute kitten had such a strong name. She was impressed as was a real name. It wasn't a cute name which people usually give to their pets. Actually, his full name is Mahendra Verma Pallav Punnai. MP Punnai for short, if you like. He is a fine breed of cat. Just look at his fur, like a lion's mane. And you know what the emblem of the ancient Pallava kings was, don't you? He looked expectantly at Mridu. So now students, underline the word expectantly, which means confidently with an expected look. Alright. So Ravi said that the kitten's full name was actually Mahendra Verma Pallav Punnai, and in short it was MP Punnai. He then told Mridu that Mahendra was a fine breed of cat and his fur was like a lion's mane. Now we all know what is mane. The hairy part around lion's neck is called mane. So now he is comparing the cat's fur with a lion's mane. He said that the girl knew that the emblem of the ancient Pallava king was a lion, meaning that Mahendran was of the same breed. He then looked confidently at Mridu and expected her to believe him. After hearing this, Mridu giggled. Giggled, underline the word giggled, means laughed lightly and repeatedly in a silly way. Think I'm joking? Well, just wait. I will show you sometime. It's clear you don't know a thing about history. Haven't been to Mahabalipuram, have you? Ravi said mysteriously. Well, when our class went to Mahabalipuram, I saw a statue of his Thathas, etc., etc. Fact is, Mahendran here is descended from that very same ancient cat, which was the emblem of Pallava's king. And the Pallava's king, Pallavas, their emblem was a lion. Alright, so over here, Ravi is comparing that this Mahendran is a breed, is a family of the lion, which was the emblem of Pallava's king. A close relative, scientifically speaking, of none other than the lion, the Pallava lion, emblem of the Pallava dynasty. Ravi went on walking around the bitter berry bush, waving a twig up, down, his eyes sparkling. This cat is a descendant of none other than the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, and if I may just remind you, they worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. When Mridu giggled, when Mridu laughed at Ravi, Ravi started explaining how what he just said was not a joke. He said he was clear that Mridu did not know a thing about history. That means Mridu doesn't know about the history, that what is the emblem of Pallava kings. He mysteriously asked her if she hadn't been to Mahabalipuram. Mahabalipuram is the name of a place. He then said that when he went there with his class, he saw a statue of the kittens of this Mahendra's ancestor in Mahabalipuram. He told them Mahendran is a close relative of the Pallava lion, which was the emblem of the Pallava dynasty. Now over here, Ravi is relating the Mahendran, the kitty, with the lion, which was the emblem of the Pallava dynasty. Ravi went on walking around the bitterberry bush. He was waving a twig up and down as he explained, his eyes shining. Then he said that Mahendran was a descendant of the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat. He reminded them that people worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. Now he reminded Mridu and Meena that in ancient Egypt people used to worship cats. Alright? Underline the term descendant, which means a descendant of or comes from the same family. Thatha, again, as I have explained to you, grandfather in Tamil, and sparkling, the word which we get here, his eyes sparkling. When Ravi was explaining about his kitten, his eyes were sparkling, his eyes were shining at that time. So the meaning of the term sparkling is shining. How he loved the sound of his own voice. Meena and Mridu exchanged looks. What does that have to do with anything? Mridu demanded. I'm telling you, this cat is descended from the Egyptian cat god, no, goddess. Bastet, yeah, that's it. So, now Mridu and Meena listened closely to how Ravi was explaining the relation of Mahendra with the Pallava emblem. They exchanged looks. Mridu asked what the ancestor of Mahendran has got to do with their present situation. Ravi then told her that Mahendran is descended from the Egyptian goddess named Bastet. Mridu still could not understand that what Ravi is talking about. What is the point of all these things which he is saying? Well, one of the descendants of that cat goddess was a stowaway in one of the Pallava ships, and his descendant was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant is Ravi. Flourished his twig at Mahendran. MP Punnai here. Whoop eek. He shrieked, very pleased with himself. Now underline the words stowaway, which means someone who hides himself or herself in a ship or an aircraft to travel unnoticed. Then you will underline the word flourished, which means waved. Then shrieked, which means screamed or screaming. Pleased means happy and delighted. So, Ravi said that one of the descendants of Bastet had hidden itself in one of the Pallava ships, and his descendant was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant was Mahendran. He waved a twig at the kitten, then he shrieked, then he screamed with joy. He was pleased with himself as he thought he had discovered something important. Mahendran looked up, alarmed. Underline the word alarmed, which means shocked, frightened. He had just been sharpening. Sharpening means making something sharp and pointy. Sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell But worse than Ravi's awful whoop-eek was a screech from the window. What a weird sound. Weird means strange or unusual. If Mridu was startled, startle means to move or jump up in fright or alarm. MP Punnai was frightened out of his wits. Hair standing on end, he bounced up and scurried. Frightened out of wits, here you can see the phrase frightened out of his wits. The meaning of this phrase is very scared. Now, alright. Hair standing on end, he bounced up. Bounced means jumped up, and scurried. Scurried means ran towards a bamboo tray of red chilies that had been set out to dry, trying to hide beneath it. Beneath it means under. He tipped means put a few chilies over himself. Meow. He howled means roared in pain, miserably, sadly. Now Mahendran was scared by Ravi's whooping sound. He had been sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell when he heard Ravi's whoop-eek. But then came a sound weirder than that, and it was a screech from the window. Mridu was frightened, she was startled, but her fright was not near to what Mahendran got. He was frightened out of his wits. He was very scared. His fur was standingly on end. He jumped up from the torn football sack and ran under a bamboo tray of red chilies that had been set out to dry. As he tried to hide, a few chilies fell over him. He howled miserably, sadly. He roared in pain under the tray, as he did not want to be frightened like that ever again after hearing the screech sound which was coming from the window. The screeching went on and on. What's that noise? Underline the term noise, which means unpleasant sound. Said Mridu. That's Lali learning to play the violin, grunted Ravi. Grunted means made a short, low sound in the throat. Now, the screeching noise kept on coming from the window. Mridu asked about it, what the noise was. Ravi replied that the noise was coming from Lali, who was learning the violin. She will never learn a thing. The music master just goes on playing like a train whizzing on and on, while Lali is all the time derailing, going completely off track. Whizzing means moving very quickly, often making a high continuous sound. Derailing means causing a train to come off a railway track. Off track means outside the railway track. Alright, when Mridu asked about the noise, Ravi told Mridu that this noise is coming from Lali's violin, as she is learning how to play the violin. Then Ravi told Mridu that Lali would never learn how to play the violin. Whenever the music master plays the violin, like a train moving very quickly and smoothly, whereas Lali, who was trying to follow the master, was going always outside the railway track. That proves that she doesn't know how to play the violin. Now let us move towards the part 2 of the chapter. Mridu crept up to the window. Lally was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. He had a mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold-bordered veshti edge, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. Now students, underline the words crept. Crept means, underline the word crept means moved slowly and noiselessly. Then you will underline the word awkwardly, which means weirdly. Then the next word which you will underline is bowstring. Bowstring means a stick-like piece of equipment which is used to play the violin. Now, jutting means sticking out further than the surrounding surface. Next word is glazed, means filled. Concentration means focus. Bony figure, bony means skeleton-like. Fringe means the part of your hair that is cut so that it hangs over your forehead. Then tuft means a small amount of hair growing together. Gleamed means shone, sparkled. Leathery means tough, flexible. Glittered means sparkled. Glided means moved along smoothly. And the last word in this para is veshti, which means dhoti in Tamil. So, Mridu moved noiselessly and slowly up to the window. She saw Lally sitting a little distance away, holding her violin and bowstring in a weird position, which simply proves that she doesn't know how to hold the violin and how to play it. Her elbows were jutting and her eyes were filled with concentration, means she was very focused. Alright? In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the music master who looked like a skeleton. He was almost bald with a fringe of oily black hair around his ears and a traditional type of tuft. There was a shiny gold chain around the master's leathery neck, flexible neck. There was a diamond ring on his hand which gleamed, which shined as it glided up and moved along smoothly when he was playing the violin up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot was sticking out from his gold-bordered dhoti, and his large, scrawny big toe was moving according to the rhythm of the violin. Again, we got the term scrawny, which we had got earlier, scrawny. Now we can assume that the chappals which were kept outside of the house, that chappal belonged to this master. All right. So, what did we learn from this para? That Lally was very focused in playing violin, and in front of her, her master was sitting, and he was very traditional. He had taken a very traditional attire, all right, and he was playing the violin, And when he was playing the violin, his hands were moving very smoothly. All right, on the violin. He played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible track of the melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along, as Ravi said. Mridu stared at that huge, be-ringed hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. So, here the words which you will underline, students: stumble, which means followed haltingly. The next word is helpless, which means smoothly, which cannot be held, something which cannot be held, sorry. Now the next word is float, go up slowly in the air. Next word is settle, fit, go into place. Next word is invisible, which means something is not visible. Next word is be ringed, which means the music master is wearing a ring. Next word is effortlessly, which means without any effort. So the music master played a few notes. Lali tried to follow him on her violin, but the violin looked helpless and unhappy in her hands, as thought it wasn't being used properly. There was a lot of difference between Lali and the music master's melody. The notes which the master looked as though they were floating up and fitting perfectly into the tracks of the melody, which were not visible. It was exactly what Ravi said. Mridu could not take her eyes off the hand which was effortlessly up and down the stem, making melodious music. This was the same hand which had the ring on it. Squawk! There was Lali derailing again. Amma, came a wail from the gate. Amma, oh! Now Lali made the same screeching noise, which meant she had started derailing again. She started going off to the track. Then suddenly there came a wail. Wail means cry. From the gate, someone was calling Rukuman. Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda where she was chatting with Tapi. He has been coming here every day for the past week and it's time he found another house to beg from, Pati explained to Tapi. Veranda means posh, chatting means talking, gossiping. So after hearing the cry, after hearing the wail, Ravi's mother cried from the back veranda where she was sitting with Tapi and Pati, asking Ravi to send the beggar away. At the back veranda, she, Tapi and Pati were talking with one another. Pati then explained to Tapi that the beggar had been coming to their house every day for the past week, and now it was time for him to find another house to beg from. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he waited for the arms to appear. Go away, said Ravi sternly. My Pati says it's a time you found another house to beg from. Now students, you will underline the word apparently, which means obviously. Snooze means short sleep. Alms means money, clothes or food given to poor people. Sternly means strictly, sharply. Now Ravi went towards the beggar and Mridu and Meena followed him. The beggar had already started becoming comfortable in the garden. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against the trunk. He was preparing to take a little snooze while he waited for someone to give him alms. Ravi went to the beggar and told him to go away. He also said that his grandmother says that it was time for the beggar to find another house to beg from. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said, at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together, which means managed to stay alive on their generosity for a whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. He raised his voice, Amma, Amma, oh. Sad his wail might be, but it certainly wasn't feeble, means weak. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with its few remaining teeth stained brown with beetle chewing. Now students, the words which you will underline in this para are gazed. The meaning is written over here where I am highlighting, to look at something for a long time. Another word is choked, which means filled with feelings which were making him sound choked. The word you can find in the second line here where I am pointing out. Kept my body and soul together. Meaning of this phrase is managed to stay alive. Generosity means the quality of being generous or giving. Feeble means weak. Withered means something which was weak and dead-like. Booming means echoing. Beetle chewing means a type of smokeless tobacco. Alright. No, after listening to Ravi, the beggar opened his eyes and gazed at Ravi, Meena and Mridu. Then he said that the ladies of the house were very kind. It was due to their generosity the beggar was able to stay alive. He also said that it was unbelievable that they would not give him any alms and turn him away. He said this in a choked voice. He then raised his voice and cried for Rukumani. However, the cry of the beggar was not feeble, was not weak. It started in a deep, strong rumble in his withered belly. Withered, as I have explained, withered means something which was weak and dead-like. So from his withered belly, a boom, his words were echoing. All right. The few remaining teeth he had were brown color due to beetle chewing. Ravi, tell him there is nothing left in the kitchen called Rukumani, and he has not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. Ravi did not have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear there under the neem tree. The beggar sat up and sighed. Now underline the word phrase fed up, which means tired and unhappy. As soon Now Rukumani told Ravi to tell the beggar that there was nothing left in the kitchen for her to give to the beggar. Also, she told Ravi that the beggar is not supposed to come again. She sounded fed up. She was very upset. However, there was no need to repeat this to the beggar. Rukumani had said it so loud that everyone could hear it clearly. The beggar sat up and sighed. I will go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. The sun is so hot, the tar has melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. Wearily means tearily, exhaustedly. Tar means a substance which is used to construct roads. Blisters means boils or bubbles on the skin from burns or rubbing. So, the beggar said that he would go, but after a few minutes rest, he then explained that the sun was so hot that the tar had melted on the road and his feet were already blistered. He then showed the blisters to the children. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena Ravi. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? I don't know, said Ravi. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. Mridu whispered to Meena and Ravi, saying that she thought that the beggar doesn't have any money to buy chappals for himself. She then asked if they had an old pair in the house. Ravi did not know. He said that his feet are smaller than the beggar's, or he would have given his slippers to him. Also, the beggar's feet were larger than both the girls. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road, gleaming in the afternoon heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said, her big eyes filling. It's not fair. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti, meaning that he was preparing to go back to the road. He looked fearfully at the road, which was gleaming in the afternoon heat. He was afraid of the melting tar. Meenu then said that the beggar needed something on his feet. As her eyes filled with tears, she complained that it wasn't fair that the beggar had to live like that. Meena said these things to Ravi and Mridu. Shh, said Ravi. I'm thinking about it. Blubbering, it's not fair, isn't going to help. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on that road. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. Blubbering means crying uncontrollably. Frying means cooking in heat. Ravi told Meena to be quiet. He said that he was thinking about what to do and crying and repeating a phrase wasn't going to help. He said that in 2 minutes the beggar would be out on the road, and so he needed a pair of chappals. Then he pushed the girls into the house and said that they need to search the house to get a suitable pair for beggar. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the odd-looking chappals she had noticed when she arrived. Ravi, she whispered to him, "Whose are those?" Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby-looking but sturdy old slippers. He beamed and nodded. "These are just the right size," he said, picking them up. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. Now underline the words odd looking, which means strange looking. Glanced, took a quick look at something. Shabby looking means messy or dirty looking. Sturdy means steady. Beamed means smiled proudly. Nodded means shook his head in agreement. Now, as soon Mridu stepped into the veranda, her eyes fell on the pair of chappals she saw when she arrived. She called Ravi and spoke very softly, asking whom these chappals belonged to. Ravi turned and gave the chappals a quick look and smiled. He said that those were the ones the beggar needed. He picked them up. The girls followed him nervously back into the garden. "Here," said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the slippers in front of the man. "Wear these and don't come back." The beggar stared at the slippers, hurriedly flung his towel over his shoulder, pushed his feet into them, and left, muttering a blessing to the children. In a minute he had vanished around the corner of the street. Flung means threw. Now Ravi dropped the slippers in front of the beggar and commanded him to wear it and never return to the same place again. The beggar first stared at the chappals, then threw his towel over his shoulder. He quickly put them on and he left, blessing the children. In a minute he had vanished. The music master came out of the house and took an unappreciative look at the three of them sitting quietly under the tree, playing marbles. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. Unappreciative means disapproving. Now the music lesson was over and the music master come out of the house. He looked at Meena, Mridu and Ravi disapprovingly. The three of them were sitting quietly under the neem, playing with marbles. Then the music master began searching for his chappals in the veranda, and veranda was the place where he had put his chappals. "Lali," he called after a few moments. She hurried up to him. "Have you seen my chappals, my dear? I remember having kept them here." Ravi, Mridu and Meena silently watched Lali and the music master search every corner of the veranda. He scurried around, looking over the railing and crouching near the flower pots to look between them. Brand new they were. "I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them," he went on saying. "They cost a whole month's fee, do you know?" When the music master could not find his chappals, he called his student Lali. She came running towards him, and when she reached him, the music master asked if she had seen his chappals. He also said that he remembered keeping them on the veranda. The three children silently watched Lali and the music master searched the whole veranda carefully for the chappals. He, the music master, ran around looking over the railing of the veranda and crouching over the floor. Crouching means being in a position in which your knees are bent and your upper body is bending downwards. This position is used to search for something lost. Alright, so the music master ran around looking over the railing of the veranda and crouching over the flower pots which were placed there. He kept on saying that the chapels were brand new, difficult to get, and expensive to buy. Soon Lali went in to tell her mother. Rukumani appeared, looking harassed, with Pati following her. Where could they be? It's really quite upsetting to think someone might have stolen them. So many vendors come to the door. Worried Pati. Underline the word harassed, which means troubled with anxiety. Upsetting means disappointing. Vendor means shopkeepers. Now, after Lily helped the music master in the search of his chappals and had failed to find them, she went inside the house to tell the elders about it. Rukumani came out in veranda looking worried. Pati followed her. Pati said in tension that it was upsetting to think that someone stole the chappals. She also said that many vendors came here and it was possible that one of the vendors stole them. Rukumani caught sight of Ravi, Mridu, and Meena sitting under the tree. Have you children? She began, and then, seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. Seen anyone lurking around the veranda? Lurking means waiting quietly. A sharp V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. That means she was suspecting the children. Another straight, tighter one appeared in place of her usually soft, pleasant mouth. Now she got angry. She get angry. Rukumani was angry. Uh, I thought uh, Mridu with a shiver. She wouldn't be so upset if she knew about the poor beggar with sores on his feet, she tried to tell herself. Now Rukumani suddenly saw the three children sitting under the tree and thought of asking them. She began to ask, but when she saw that the children were quieter than usual, she went on more slowly. A sharp V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows, and another straighter and tighter line appeared and replaced her soft and pleasant mouth. As a mother, she was able to find out that in some way the children were responsible for the missing chappals. This had made her angry. Mridu realized this and was scared. She then thought that if Rukumani knew the reason why the chappals were missing, Rukumani would not be upset and would not scold them. Taking a deep breath, she cried, Rukumani, there was a beggar here. Poor thing, he had such boils on his feet. So, said Rukumani grimly, turning to Ravi, you gave the music master's chappal to that old beggar who turns up here. Now Mridu took a deep breath and told her aunt that there had been a beggar who had boils on his feet. Then Rukumani turned in aggression towards Ravi and asked if they had given the chappals which belonged to the music master to the beggar which came there. Children these days groaned pati. Groan means a deep sound which indicates despair. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna who gave away everything he had, even his gold earrings? He was so kind and generous. Then Ravi complained to his mother. He said that she had told him once about Karna who had given away everything he had, even his gold earrings. He had. He had been kind and generous, and Ravi did the same. Silly, snapped Rukumani. Karna did not give away other people's things, he only gave away his own. But my chappals would not have fitted the beggar's feet. Ravi rushed brashly on, and Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? Rukumani scolded Ravi and said that Karna gave away his own belongings, not others. Ravi then said his chappals wouldn't have fit the beggar's feet. Then he asked shamelessly if she wouldn't have minded if he really would have given away his own chappals. Brashly, you will underline the word snapped, which means scolded. Rushed means said urgently or hurriedly. Brashly means shamelessly. Ravi said Rukumani, very angry now, go inside this minute. She hurried indoors and brought out Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals. These should fit you. Sir, please put this on. I am so sorry, my son has been very naughty. The music master's eyes lit up. He put them on, trying not to look too happy. Well, I suppose these will have to do. These days, children have no respect for elders. What to do? A Hanuman incarnate. Only Rama can save such a naughty fellow. Rukumani's eyes flashed. She did not seem to like Ravi being called a monkey, even a holy monkey. She stood stiff and straight by the front door. It was clear she wanted him to leave quickly. Now, when Ravi asked the question, Rukumani became more angry and ordered him to go inside the house. Then she hurried inside and brought out Gopu Mama's new chappals, which he did not wear too much. Rukumani gave the chappals to the music master while apologizing on behalf of her son. The music master's eyes lit up and he put them on, trying not to look too happy. He then called Ravi a Hanuman incarnate. Incarnate means a god taking a form of a human, and said that only Lord Rama could save such a naughty fellow. However, that made Rukumani angry, as she did not want her son to be called a monkey, not even a holy monkey. She stood stiff and straight by the front door. The gesture clearly indicated that she wanted the music master to leave quickly. When he had clattered off in his new chappals, she said, Mridu, come in and have some tiffin. Honestly, how do you children think of such things? Thank God your Gopu Mama doesn't wear his chappals to work. As she walked towards the kitchen with Mridu and Meena, she suddenly began to laugh. But he has always in such a hurry to throw off his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. What's your mama going to say this evening? When I tell him I gave his chappal to the music master. After wearing the chappals, the master went off, making noise with his new chappals. Rukumani then asked Mridu to come in and have some tiffin. As she went inside with Meena and Mridu, she asked how children thought of doing such things. She then thanked God, saying that it was a good thing Gopu Mama did not wear his chappals to work. But as she walked towards the kitchen, she began to laugh. She said that Gopu Mama was always in a hurry to throw off his shoes, socks, and to wear his chappals as soon as he comes home. She then wondered what he was going to say when he would get to know that she gave his chappals to the music master. So, this was the story, A Gift of Chappals. And in this story, we learned that children how children of this chapter helped a poor beggar, and the lesson that we learned from this chapter is that children's minds are much simpler than those of grown ups. Alright, so we will meet again with a new chapter. Till then, bye everyone.